Jeff, when's the first time you heard the name Garth Fagan?
Well, when I was a student at Eastman, I came to Rochester in 1969, and it was the bottom of the bucket at that point. But where I experienced Garth was in one of the Arrangers Holidays, summer concerts that we used to put together an orchestra for. And Garth was he was on stage with this studio orchestra doing this Miles Davis piece. And I was playing in this summer orchestra, and it just blew me away. I was so enthralled with the human body, the movement to music, but with also the musicians being right there. It was an incredible experience. And it was a dream of mine at that point to work with Garth. And then about 25 years ago, when I first started working with the orchestra, we got in touch with each other and trying to figure out a way that we could work together. And I have to say, I kind of was not confident at that time as a musician. And I scared myself off. I didn't think I could live up to the amazing things that Garth was creating. And I always kind of felt like there's going to be a time when we can work together. And we got together about maybe 7 or 8 months ago, and we both said, let's make this thing happen. And it's been a dream come true for me.
Is it easy to sit down with a guy like Jeff Tyzik and put a show together like this that's kind of multi-genre?
No, it's never easy when you're putting two art forms together. And I'm very particular about the music I've chosen through the years. The company's going to be 50 years old next year. And I was a wee babe when we started, but still I'm here. But like we're doing the Dvorak cello concerto, Oatka Trail, which is to a trail near here. And Steve Humphrey has performed it around the world to rave reviews. And now we have a new dancer doing it, Vitolia Jean, and two other dancers. So I'm looking forward to it. It's beautiful music. It's beautiful movement, not said just by me, but by all the critics in the world. And I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to hear it.
Mm-hmm. Norwood Pennywell, your right-hand man, he says he was a rebellious teen when he met you. But you were too, right?
Yeah.
So is that a connection?
Yes. PJ is now my rehearsal director. He was my assistant on Lion King, He was my bad son. He got married 2 years ago, and he's an angel now. He's got a wonderful Capricorn Irish lass who tamed him. Doesn't take no stuff. No way, no time. PJ is thinking he might do a Oatka Trail too. So it's up to him at this age with all he has to do. I don't want to pressure him into dancing, but if he wants to dance, so be it. I formed this company to keep mature dancers performing so that lots that we learn in life from outside our art forms, they can bring to the stage. Whereas other art forms, the actors, they all, go into their dotage, even as young as me.
Jeff, you're of the age too.
Yeah.
Do you feel like experience makes you better? It clearly makes Garth
No
better.
question about it. Yeah. No question about it. And I think this concert is an example because Garth has chosen a Brahms piece, a cello concerto, a Jelly Roll Morton piece, a Spanish-flavored piece by Villalobos. So there's great music there of an incredible variety, and the fact that over time that even though I'm known here as the pops conductor, I've conducted a fair amount of classical repertoire. I have a feel for all that, and I was really excited with the variety of the music he chose. And one of the things I think that's amazing about this concert is it's live. I mean, with the orchestra's on stage, we're going to be behind a scrim when Garth is dancing, but between pieces, the scrim's going to go up and we're going to play complementary music. We're doing this piece, William Grant Still, Inanga, but we're also going to play a movement of his symphony just before that piece. And Harry Burleigh, who was originally from Erie, Pennsylvania, who went to New York to go to a conservatory of music in New York City in the early 1900s, who came, and his mother's patrons paid for him to come to New York, and he went to the conservatory and they made him a janitor. And then he became Dvorak's copyist. And he taught Dvorak what spirituals were. And one of them was Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. And that's where the movement of Dvorak's Ninth Symphony, that movement came from, because it's all built on the African pentatonic scale. So before we do the Dvorak cello concerto with Garth, we're going to play this tribute to Harry Burleigh so the audience sees where the music came from. So these magical things are going to happen, and we're building out the stage into the Eastman Theater another 10 feet to make sure we can all fit on stage. So experience of doing concerts over the years contributes to making this concert a success for me.
Okay. Garth, you're a pretty gregarious kind of a guy, right? I can see that. You're a gregarious kind of a guy, right? You got a sense of humor. Something else. Here's something you said to me about 5 years ago. Quote from you. Reaching for a unique, deep, rich, shattering something. For me, that comes from a place of solitude. Is that you?
What was the last part of the question?
For me, that comes from a place of solitude.
Yes.
So you're two guys.
I'd say yes.
What do you think, Jeff?
Very much so.
Funny guy, gregarious guy, but private.
Exactly. If I'm in a room working on, let's say I've created a bunch of music for orchestra of Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn, and that music they didn't write for symphony orchestra, very few pieces. But when I'm in the room working on it, I feel like Duke and Billy are looking over my shoulder. I feel like they're in the room. So there's a deep, transcendent, spiritual thing that happens in those moments when you're creating something, and I'm sure Garth has a similar kind of experience because that's where the creation comes from.
Duke was my mentor.
Good.
Okay. Duke was my mentor, and Duke cursed me out after a performance in Ontario, Canada. I did a matinee performance, and I felt, I'll just telegraph it because I got a show tonight. And honey, Duke said, don't you ever do that again. I don't know who that was out there dancing. That was not you. You left it in the wings. How dare you? Blah, 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 blah. I'll never forget it as long as I live, and it was a blessing. And those were mentors that cared about us and cared about the standards and taught us about the standards and insisted that we uphold them. So, hallelujah.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about him, which is why I want this to be an amazing experience with Garth and the orchestra. And I've already sent the musicians recordings of the way he does it. I want everybody to walk in that room, and we know why we're there. And that's to help him create the experience he wants in his pieces, and then to complement that when we're the feature of the thing. So I don't know what's going to happen. I know it's going to work, and I know it's going to be incredible, but it's going to be a journey, the rehearsing and how we do this, and we're all open to make it as good as it can possibly be. And for me, again, for 51 years, I've admired him and I've wanted to do something. So it's an incredible opportunity and experience.
You've both been around the world. You bring these experiences back to us. We're very grateful for it, but what have you learned traveling the world, performing and coming back to Rochester?
Different languages, different attitudes, difference that audiences bring into the theater with them. what they ate, what they discussed at home, what they saw on TV or whatever, All of that, it energizes the performances. It hurls things at the performances. And we either catch them or we let them fall by the wayside. But we try to catch them and use them because travel is knowledge and information. Those great rooms we dined at in London, there was a time when you couldn't get good food in London. Everything was boiled. Now you have Italian restaurants, French restaurants, everything you can imagine, so you can enjoy.
I've learned, from the musician standpoint, we're all the same. And I'm in Malaysia with the Malaysia Philharmonic, and Byron Stripling, one of the great trumpet players of the world, is on stage with me, doing Louis Armstrong and Jelly Roll Morton and Fats Waller. And that audience they are so enthralled with that music and taken by that music. Or I'm in Philharmonique de Monte Carlo with that orchestra doing American film music, and the audience and the orchestra, they just love it. We're communicating. Or I'm in Scotland with the Royal Scottish National doing the Crown Imperial March, one of the great marches of Walton, and that's what their music is. And to stand there and have them play that piece, which is kind of when we play Stars and Stripes Forever, to have them play that march the way they played it, and to know that we could communicate and then turn around and play a Duke Ellington piece, it's just communication. It's universal language. So that has made me more hopeful and thankful to be doing what I do.
Yeah, Garth, you mentioned the restaurants in London. I know you like the good things in life. You like the food, you like the wine, you like the people. That's how you got into dance, too, when you were growing up in Jamaica, right? Being around people and culture, right?
People and culture. And I've been all over the world. Every major city I've been in, and some pretty minor ones. Traveled all over Europe, all over Africa. We did a 10-week tour of Africa in very small villages. And it was so nice to hear them cheer. And everybody claimed us. Every single community wanted us to be from them. And we said, thank you, thank you. And one of the best women I've seen dance was in the Ivory Coast. And she's right up there with Makarova, but she was a plump African woman doing African multi-polyrhythms. And oh my God, she could dance, It's a different standard than ballet, but what she could do, Makarova couldn't do.
Jeff, how about your interest in getting into music when you were a young man, teenager? Were you interested in the life, the culture, or were you a serious student?
I came from a very dysfunctional home, and music was my salvation. I sat in a room with a piano, and I poured out my emotion into sound that I was plunking down on a keyboard. And so, after a little bit of getting some skill and playing an instrument, I did a concert one time, and I was in 6th grade, and I got to play a trumpet solo, and it was called Johnny Learns to Play. And it's where you sound really bad in the beginning, but at the end you play pretty well, and at the end of the concert, people are applauding. I'm 6th grade. People are applauding, and I didn't say, wow, I was so good. I thought, this makes people feel good. So that was my motivation. And then I realized you meet some incredible people through music. So when I was in 6th grade, again, what a year, my band director called up before Memorial Day parade and said, hey, there's a service over at the Roosevelt graveside. I grew up in Hyde Park, and they want a trumpet player to play taps. So I'm a little kid, in my case, I go over there. I walk back, there's 4 guys with uniforms on and all these medals. There's a color guard, and Eleanor Roosevelt and her son John, and me. So I thought, you get to meet some interesting people through music. And then I worked in a car wash for $1.05 an hour for 4 years in high school. And one weekend, a guy I played music with said, "Hey, we have a job next week." And I said, "Really?" "Yeah, we're going to play for 2 hours and make $15 each and get something to eat and drink." And I thought, maybe you can make money at music. So it came from a place of solitude to a place of, wow, this could be an interesting life. And that was really, those were the things that kind of started me.
You talk about the dysfunctional family, and there's a lot of things that we have to get over in life. Garth, you lost a daughter in a car accident when she was 2, I believe. Norwood told me both of his parents were dead by the time I believe he was 16. He was adopted. He feels you filled something in his life that he lost. Did Norwood feel something in your life that you lost?
PJ is my son. If he was my flesh and blood son, I couldn't love him more. And I really treated him. My daddy was tough. My daddy was an Oxford man and tough as nails. You either did it perfectly or you didn't even attempt. And I survived that. And I helped my baby brother who acted so poorly at the dinner table that my dad had a stroke. And when I came to Jamaica, and Dad he came out of his coma for me, and his wife never forgave him. She said, "He never came out for me, but you came out for God." I said, "Well, he knew me 20-something years before he met you." And that's all that is. And the vibe woke him up, And we fought, but we loved each other. There was not a bigger love in my life than him. And to this day, when I have a problem, I go back to Daddy and I say, "What should I do? What do you think?" Blah, blah, blah. Because he's going to give me perfect, good advice. Not easy to get to, not easy to accomplish, but ultimately satisfying and enriching. And that's what I try to pass on to my dancers.
All right, this question might actually apply to both of you guys, but Garth, why are you still in Rochester? And Jeff, why are you still here? You guys could be anywhere.
Well, I went to the Eastman School, and when I graduated, I started working with Chuck Mangione. So it was kind of a home base here, and I was gaining a lot of skill here in recording studios and things like that. And then, we had my beautiful girl, Jamie, and we thought, well, the schools are great here because people say to me even today, "Where do you live?" I say Marriott. Traveling so much, so many airplanes. This seemed like a really good environment to bring up a young person. Then I became involved with the RPO, which was a dream situation. I had my own orchestra, 26 years now. I've written 400 things for them to play. I can come in, experiment, try new things. I can go to them and say, "I want to work with Garth Fagan." Okay, let's make it happen. So the opportunities for me here have always been enriching, exciting, and seemingly endless in possibilities. So that's why I'm here.
Garth, how about you here?
I agree with 99.9% of what he says, and the 1% is negligible. But I enjoy it here. It's easy to get to all the places I have to get to in the world. Through New York, through Toronto, through Charlotte, doesn't matter but it works. And I'm not too far from New York City, who to my taste is the capital of the world, to my taste. But I don't mind going to London, Paris, Rome, etc. For gigs, and I have to, and I enjoy them. And I mentioned the African tour. That was incredible. But when I come back here, the fall is to die for, and the spring. Those are the 2 seasons in Rochester that I just love. I love summer too. I am not a winter person. I go up to the mountain to ski and sit by the bar and drink. But, but spring and fall reminds me of creativity and of the Supreme Being, God, Moses, Muhammad, whoever you want it to be is okay with me, as long as you realize that there's somebody supreme who created all of this and that you are responsible for, and that protects you, encourages you. That's okay with me.
You'll be 80 in May? March?
I'll be 80 on May 3rd.
All right. So, looking back at 79 and a half, how do you feel about it?
Oh, I feel real good. I got to take 5 pills a day for cholesterol, for all kinds of crap. But it works, okay? And I don't bend as well as I used to. If I drop something, I got to call Bill because I can't bend like I used to, But those are minute things compared to my brain, my eyesight. My hearing is not as good as it used to be. But that happens when you're an octogenarian, and I'm going to be an octogenarian on May 3rd. So respect your elders.
I do.
Okay. I just want to tell this Jeff, and of course that Jeff who is a wee babe compared to us,
Right.
to respect his elders. But elders helped me. I mean, Alex Haley was on my board, and oh my God, Marion Hawks. I mean, lots of elders helped me through life, and of course, Duke Ellington. And I had a fortune of directing and choreographing his street opera, Queen of Pie, at Kennedy Center, when everybody else fell apart. So
we respect you. Looking ahead to this next year, it's your year, 50 years here.
mm,
What do you want us to think about you as we go through this year of celebrating pretty much what you've done for half a
that I
century?
busted my derriere and worked hard every single day, way into midnight in the evening, that I had to accept all the dramas that human beings who are my canvas and my oil. And when I painted with canvas and oil, they never spoke back to me, and they never told me that, oh, my boyfriend is gone, oh, my girlfriend. No, none of that. But with human beings, you have to bring that in, and you have to absorb it and keep the work going forward, but still give them a nice hand, a pat, whatever, to get them out of this doldrum, and let them know that history has proven to you that this too will pass. And just roll up your sleeves and fight it and find a way to improve it. Amen.